So I'm delighted today. I've heard so much and I've watched some videos on applied concepts, and I met Kevin up in Northern Ireland where they're starting off the Northern Ireland Lean Cluster. We had a bit of a chat, and I twisted his arm to do one of these talks. He's not he's not on video calls every day, as I understand. Kevin, it's not that often you do it.
No, that's right. Thanks a million, Steve, for the opportunity, and uh, hello to everyone. A few familiar faces there. Um, no, Zoom calls are not my forte, but I'll try and I'll do my best. If it goes belly up, you'll know it's probably my fault.
Um, and again, look, we'll keep it informative. If there's really relevant questions that are I keep an eye on as we go through. We'll do that. So I'm going to ask Kevin just to introduce who are Applied Concepts, what do they do, and what's his role there. So Kevin.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. So yeah, Kevin Brady is my name. I'm operations manager at Apply Concepts. What we do is we manufacture sandblasting equipment, and we also supply diesel compressors, mainly for sandblasting. But in the last couple of years, we designed a PTO driven compressor, probably designed originally for sandblasting because it has massive air, but actually fell into the agri market by accident, I suppose. We're a small company. We've only 15 staff. We're based in Borough County Offaly in the Midlands, and we're doing lean. We're doing lean about a year, maybe a year and a half, going on 2 years now. Um, I suppose when we started back in 2020, the place was a mess. There's no point saying anything else. It was a disaster. So this
What do you
video
so?
was taken back in 2020, just before COVID had hit. I was actually working across the road. I'm a design engineer by trade. I'd worked 15 years as a design engineer, um, designing farm machinery and a lot of mechanical stuff. But I was working in Borough at the time, in a company called EJ, and I was kind of designing manhole covers. So I was drawing rectangles every day, basically, and kind of got bored of that. And this job as production manager came up, applied, and I kind of took it on. At first, I told Mark, who's our MD, I told him no, that I wouldn't know anything about it. I had no experience as production manager or anything like that. But eventually, he got around me, and I took on the role as production manager. But I had to work off 8 weeks' notice with um, with the previous company, and for that 8 weeks, actually I was googling what does a production manager do, what's the KPIs for a production manager, what does good production shop look like, and I actually went down a rabbit hole and I found this guy called Paul Akers. He's an American guy, and I started looking at his videos, and really he was too American, if you want to say. Everything was awesome. Everything was, oh my god, everything was amazing, and I kind of knew that wouldn't work and wouldn't really wash here. So you can see you can see the video there if you can see it, how messy, untidy the place was, um, and I kind of I kind of had an idea that this American thing wasn't going to work really, not with the guys I had, with the mess that was there. So I kind of introduced it to Mark, our MD, and he was like, "Yeah, that sounds lovely, but like, there's wages to be paid. Um, there's a lot more to be done now before we start looking into this lean stuff." And he kind of had a he kind of had a bad taste in his mouth about lean. I suppose lean was a bad word because he would have had, I suppose, a couple of lean consultants in at that stage, and he would have had a big certificate on the wall saying that Applied is a lean company at that stage. Um, so he didn't see much value in the lean. So that was one of the big hurdles for me, was to get Mark on board. And but eventually we got him, and he's probably one of the leanest guys I know now. And he's always going around helping, coaching lads, coaching the team, trying to make us all better all the time. I'd say for 2 years I took a step back from lean, even talking about lean or mentioning it, because after walking around and seeing that video, you see the mess, and it all led back to one thing. Was it kind of all led back onto my desk, was the design office, where defects were being created, and that's where the mess was coming from originally. Was so myself and Mark spent maybe a year and a half to 2 years redesigned every product from start to finish. Um, that took it was hard work. It was, um, nearly got divorced over it. Um, my wife couldn't understand how was I spending so much hours in this place. Um, but Mark really sold me a vision of where the company was going, and in fairness to Mark, he was trying to do it all. He was trying to be the designer, the production manager, the accountant. He was trying to do it all, and I suppose it kind of got out of hand on him, and that's kind of where I came in then. And I suppose that's where the journey started.
And just yeah, tell us about the starting time, Kevin. This is your initial attempt at how do we get lean into the place.
Yeah, so like I said, I for 2 years I didn't mention lean, but I was tipping along in the background, reorganizing the flow of the place, designing jigs for making it easier for lads to weld stuff. And then in my head all along, this was the only way we were going to make any progress. So once we had all the design sorted, we decided we're going to do a morning meeting every day, because I've been looking at all these Paul Akers videos, Ryan Tierney stuff, and they were all talking about the morning meeting and also 3S time. I kind of came up with a PowerPoint slide that was a generic slide, easy for everyone to set up and change, because from the start, it's one thing we did get right from the start was the morning meeting. From listening to the likes of Paul Nolan and Ryan Tierney, Paul Akers, they were saying that you have to rotate the meeting, and we got that fairly right from the start. And so for 18 weeks, we had 18 staff at the time. For 18 weeks, we did one meeting every Friday, just to introduce what lean was, what's the advantages of it, what's the disadvantages of it. I came in one Saturday morning, and we kind of had a hallway between the production floor and our receptionists were just in the office area, and we cleared out that room, put up a TV, hooked it up to the server, and we got this PowerPoint up on it. I stuck up a few picture frames of downtime and a clock, and we took it from there. It was kind of a nothing room, no, it's kind of where it was kind of a thoroughfare where people were walking through. But we actually painted up that room and made it our morning meeting room, and we just took it from there. We started talking about downtime, started talking all the wastes, and teaching our people what lean was all about, and trying to explain that lean was here to make things better, just make our lives easier. I suppose that's where we
And
started.
presume it all went swimmingly well, and you had no kickback or pushback from anybody.
We had a lot of pushback. We had a load of lads. We had 3 or 4 big men, like big burly welders, and they're looking at me standing in front of them, telling them, "Oh, this is the way to go. We need to do less work. We need to go slow to go fast." Place was a mess at the time, and here's me standing up, telling them all this, and everything was going to be hunky dory. And at the same time, we were overstaffed, and we had to cut a few lads. So it's kind of bad timing in a way. They kind of looked at it as a cost cutting exercise, or another way of shaving a bit of. They were all worried about their jobs, basically. That was kind of difficult at the start. There was pushback. I remember there was one guy he went out of his way to prevent this thing happening, and that's where kind of strong leadership came in. I suppose on my behalf, I was, I think they underestimated that how disciplined and committed I was to making this work. And every Friday we had that meeting, come hell or high water. That meeting was happening. I didn't care if the place was falling down. We were having that meeting, and I kind of made it happen. A couple of setbacks. The main setback was everyone was wary of it. Nobody really. Everyone thought it was a cost cutting thing. And the other thing is we had no money. We were skint. We had zero money to implement anything really. So anything we did was,
Do you think
sorry.
every company needs a Kevin Brady to push their program? Because if it wasn't for you pushing, what was the chance of success?
I think you definitely need someone that's make it happen. Like I was the operations manager. I had a lot on my plate, but I knew this would work. Um, I suppose I'll tell you a story about when I was young fellow, like about 18. I went off to. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I left, did my leaving cert. But I was always good with my hands. Always better at the practical subjects than wasn't the best or the top lad in school. But decided my father actually talked me into going to college for just to do 1 year in. So I decided I'd go to Waterford IT. And the only reason I picked Waterford IT and the CEO was they had the best hurling team in the Fitzgibbon Cup. Um, I was hurling with the Offaly minors, Offaly under 20s at the time. I was a pretty good hurler and went down to Waterford and actually learnt more from the hurling club and training and the discipline from that than I did from the. I got my degree eventually, but that was kind of second fiddle to the hurling at the time. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, but got to the degree. But the reason I'm just telling you that is I've had a pretty good hurling career, hurled for Offaly senior team, captain them, had a good run with our club. But the reason I'm telling you about the hurling is I think looking back now, that's where I got the leadership skills from. And I would have underestimated it before, but actually I'm comfortable in conflict, comfortable in say a dressing room situation or a morning meeting situation. And I think that consistency that you're going to get up, say you're after winning, I don't know, you're after winning a championship or a county final or something, you get up the next morning, you go do a bit of training. Some other lads will lie in bed with a hangover. Uh, was never me. I'd always get up and I'd be very disciplined and consistent in anything I did. I suppose I brought that to the morning meetings. And when you're part of a team, if you say you're going to do something, you have to do it. You're kind of responsible to the other 15 players on the team. So I suppose I didn't see it at the time, but looking back now, I kind of noticed it. That's where I got the kind of discipline from and consistency that I don't think the rest of the group were expecting.
And this idea then of Ryan Tierney's stop and fix, and just give us an idea about how you started and the kind of things that you began to implement.
I done a lot of research, nearly 2 years on this, researching how to build a culture. The best thing ever was I knew nothing about lean. I had done a semester in college, maybe a couple of months about lean, what it was. Probably knew about Toyota and Kanban and all the buzzwords. I didn't know anything about the tools or probably, to be honest, a bit wary of it myself. But when I seen Ryan Tierney, what he was at, and just said, this is straightforward. Anyone could do this. But I was a bit, that was an understatement because lean is all about culture and building culture first. I think too many people they rush to the tools, but without having the culture and the foundation of that lean culture that everyone understands why you're using the tools first is a big thing. We started, as I said, for 18 weeks, we did a weekly meeting, and we just introduced lean like So for 5 weeks, we did the 5 S's. We picked our bathroom area. It was a disaster in there. There was like 15 broken sweeping brushes, and there was a bottle of weed killer, and everything that shouldn't have been in there was in there. And so for the first week, we sorted it. The second week, we set in order. We painted the place, and we standardized, we labeled everything. Went back then over the 5 weeks and looked back at week one, and that's how we went slow to go fast. Able to, over them 18 weeks, show different things like one piece flow and introduce them gradually. We didn't we didn't bull into a morning meeting every day. I think it would have been too much for the lads not knowing anything about lean. So for 18 weeks, we gradually introduced lean and the idea of stop and fix what bugs you, leave it better than you found it. All these very basic cultural things we put most emphasis on. We didn't really talk about anything else really. It was just totally focused on culture, building a culture and a team.
And then just a couple of examples of a few changes that you made.
Yeah, this is kind of how I kind of trained our people and coached our people of what lean was. And the first thing we did was we set up a WhatsApp group. We called it Lean at Applied. We had, I think we had 18 people at the time. We encouraged everyone to take before and after pictures of small improvements that they were making, and it didn't matter how small. If it was putting a label on something that was perfect, we really promoted that. And the morning meeting then was where we spoke about downtime every day, and we really taught our people to see all the 8 wastes. So we had this 8 pictures of downtime in a photo frames, and every morning we'd speak about maybe a waste that we seen from yesterday or example. So we really drilled it home. I was reading loads of stuff on lean. I got nearly addicted to it. My wife was worried about me I'm after finding this new thing. She was worried, like I was on the phone the whole time. Everything was coming out of my mouth was lean. I was driving her crazy. But I was ordering books online. I got all these books. I was reading everything, and so any books I was reading, I was putting them up on. We created this lean library. Um, Probably didn't work as well as I thought it would. Maybe 2 or 3 people would have took up the books, but I used snippets from the books and paragraphs in the morning meetings then just to coach our people every morning and explain the difference of, say, like value and non-value and how Kanbans work and all that sort of stuff. Ryan Tierney had a super podcast as well, just brilliant stuff, real simple basic stuff that made lean really accessible to all of us, for every one of us to understand. And but I think the best thing to teach our people was we brought everyone from Applied, and we were skint. We brought everyone up to Seaton Matters, to the Lean Made Simple tour, and it was unbelievable. I remember myself and I brought another guy, Tristan Murdoch. Tristan's our store man, and he's a young guy. He wouldn't be very chatty sort of fella, and it's a fair spin up to Limavady, and the two of us were in the car, and wasn't much chat on the way up, but we went in and we were just blown away. The place was amazing. Like there was so much detail. Everything was just crazy. Our minds were blown when we went up, and then on the way back, I don't. We spoke the whole way home. The two of us we were chatting the whole way home about what we were pumped up. We were going back to make Applied. We're like two men on a mission. We're going to make Applied the best company in Ireland. And as soon as we got back, then we started sending everyone up. We said, you have to go and see this. And we could see it in stages. Everyone that went up when they came back, it was like we unlocked their minds, and they just started doing 3S better. They started doing Kaizen improvements better. Other lean tour we went on was Adman Steel Sheds in Wexford with Paul Nolan, and that was amazing tour as well. I remember, I think all of our people have been to Paul Nolan, but actually, I think the lean tours are the absolute best thing. If you can show your people, instead of reading it out of a book or a podcast, if you can actually physically show them what you're talking about, it's so much more valuable. It's like unlocking someone's mind. That's what we did. I suppose
Brilliant.
we got most traction out of the lean tours we went on.
And then some examples of changes that you made.
The biggest example that made the most impact for, say, the team was we introduced Kanban for our nuts and bolts and all our fasteners. We were building these PTO compressors, and there's lots of fasteners in it. And every week we were running out of. Victor was building them, and every week he'd be on to me, "Oh, we're out of M10 by 40s, or can you go down?" And actually, we're situated right beside the hardware, so we had lads hopping the fence every day, going out for a handful of nuts and bolts to get some finished. And the big thing there was we had this machine, and it was very stop-startish. It was we were building a machine, and then we were waiting for bolts, or we were waiting for washers or whatever. And then we introduced a Kanban tubing system for all the fasteners, and that was a great example to everyone. They really actually bought into it after that. They wanted a Kanban everything done. So we started a Kanban in the stationery store. We started in the consumable store, in the toiletries, and now we're working on our overseas stuff. Kanban, I suppose, was the biggest tool that we used and had the most impact for everyone to see. The other thing was the 3S time. We started doing 3S time every morning for 30 minutes. I remember the day Mark, our MD, he came down and he started sweeping the floor with us. There was a kind of a, I won't say it was a split, but there was a kind of, there was the production staff and then we had the office staff. So I remember the day Mark came down and swept the floor with us. That was major because it showed everyone that, geez, these lads are serious. Like this is coming from the very top. Mark has really bought into this now, where, um, yeah, so they're the two big things that I think had the most impact is the 3S time, Mark coming down and having the humility to sweep the floor in his best suit every morning with the lads, and the Kanban.
Got a question in from Stephen, is it? Stephen has his hand up.
Yeah, I kind of work in a kind of an office environment here as well, and kind of did a bit of lean here ourselves, down in our Mullingar here.
Yep.
I suppose the kind of the cleaning, the sweeping, the tidying, we've done a good bit of that here, and it looks really good. And we've done some stuff in the office where we've organised boxes for samples and a few bits and pieces. And you were kind of saying there that like kind of a bit of a divide between the office and the other ones, because a lot of the time I find it kind of hard to find stuff for the office to do. The office kind of, it's easy to straighten things up, put stuff on the shelf, get it tidy, and then try to keep it that way. But I suppose,
yeah,
when you're sitting at a computer working at your desk, apart from keeping your desk tidy and stuff, is there any kind of advice maybe for offices or that side of stuff that you would have done?
absolutely. There's only so much you can do in an office, and an office is normally a tidy place anyway. But what we start doing is looking at our little mistakes on our ERP system where it was causing defects, or we start looking at why invoices were taking so long to come through. I mentioned Tristan there. Tristan works in the stores and he picks the parts for the lads, but he has an office and he has an Excel file. So every location for all the parts we had, he was writing down on a piece of paper every day, and then he'd let them all build up to a Friday, and he'd go and he'd start subtracting them from stock then every Friday. This was taking him 3 or 4 hours every week. But he actually got onto ChatGPT. He asked ChatGPT to show him how to write code for doing this, and now he can do it with the help of a Stream Deck. He introduced a Stream Deck, and now with the push of a button, he's brought that 4 hours of torturous work down to 5 minutes. He can subtract all stock, and he's done all that himself.
the idea about one piece flow and the talk about waste?
Like I'd say for the first 2 years, we just totally concentrate on culture, and now we're at a point where we're looking at one piece flow and that kind of stuff. Where because all of our people understand. I'll just tell you about the one piece flow. We've a whole range of blast pots. So we've 20 litres, 40 litres, hundreds, aquas, 140s, 200s. And we used to go and produce, totally my fault. I used to say, oh, sure, we're manufacturing 40 litres now. We'll make 20 of them. So we were only selling maybe 5 a month. And so all these 20 blast pots were going around on pallets with all this extra work. If there was a defect on one, there was going to be a defect on 20. So we started the idea of one piece flow. We had actually a parking space for every blast pot. You can see him in the picture there. And we started a chain reaction. So our sales, we're kind of in a building that was an old car garage. And there's kind of a display area out the front. So we used that display area we used to build 4 at a time, what could fit on one pallet instead of 5 pallets. So we built 420s, 440s, 400s. And then as they were going, as the sales guys sold one, was a kind of a chain reaction to the fabricator to cut the next one, to the welder to weld one, to the powder coater to so on, all the way to assembly and dispatch. That's been major. I used to think that the sales guys would only sell what we didn't have. I thought they were just going out of their way to sell because we were putting all this effort into building all this stuff, tying up cash flow, tying up money, tying up lads doing all this welding. I was convinced that the sales lads were only deciding to weld the stuff that was out of stock. So one piece flow has been a major for the business, especially cash flow point of view. And we're kind of at the point now where we're trying to get that even better. We're constantly trying to tweak that and make it better and better all the time. But since we did this one piece flow with the pots, we haven't run out of a pot. Our lead times are way better as well. So customers are happier. You can see the two guys in the picture there. They're two Japanese guys. Can't pronounce their names. The guy on the very left in the black jacket, that's Mr. Amazawa. He's the vice president of Toyota and Lexus in Japan. And last year I was lucky enough to get invited to the Lean Summit in the UK. And these guys were guest speakers at it. And Mr. Amazawa said, I got him on his own after the talk, and I was, introducing myself. And I remember he said something to me. He said, your treasure is in your waist. And I hadn't a clue. I didn't know what he was on about. So I went over and asked Ryan Tierney, what's he talking about? And they quickly explained what he was talking about. But anyway, that mindset that your treasure is in your waist really stuck with me. And every morning now in the morning meeting, we ask all our people, have you seen any of the waste yesterday? And if they have, and they don't always, but if they have, we have a whiteboard and we write it down, and that's an opportunity for an improvement. That's how we're growing our business. There's no point, say, having a defect and then having it again next week and having it again a few weeks time. We're capturing these defects or all these wastes, and we're eliminating them every day, and that's how Applied is growing, I suppose.
Just about the growing this culture, because a lot of these attempts only last a few weeks, and then people go, oh, okay, we're bored of this now. So how do you keep it going?
Yeah, our morning meeting it's a very safe place. We've made it a very safe place that anyone can bring up a defect. It's not about pointing a finger at anyone or anything like that. It's a very safe place that we've created. So we always say you listen without defending, and speak without offending. And probably a big problem I had was attack the process, not the person. I'd be very like, why did that F and E just, put that thing there when he knows it should be here? But there was no real process to it. In my mind, it was logical why someone should do it the way I think it should be done. But reflecting on myself, probably something I had to work on was attack the process and not the person. And just a quick story on that. This sounds a bit mad, but I got everyone's contracts and ripped them up in the morning meeting one day and said, right, and I rewrote them all, and we made everybody process engineers. Anna in accounts is actually an accountant / process engineer. So Anna's role is not just to do accounts, but to make the role of accounts easier for the next person. The same, the guys in sales, they're sales / process engineers, fitter / process engineer, welder / process engineer. All the guys now know that their main role at Applied is to make the process of their job easier. And that's actually, that mindset is, it's hard to get that through to guys, It's probably what helps drive on our culture.
Quick question here from John.
Hi, Kevin. Yeah, you've been here to see us in Mullingar, so you know what we're about and all this. But one of the things, I suppose, we've gone into the morning meetings and stuff like that. One of the things I've got back from a few people is that people here just want to do their job. They don't want to do all this extra stuff. They just want to do their job. I try to explain to people that, like you said about being a process engineer, where you're improving your job. It's not that you're working harder, you're working smarter. It's waste less rather than work more. But how do you twist that around if people see it that way? That you just want to come in and do the thing, and they don't want to really be bothered about looking how to improve it.
We really promoted that. We had that as well. We had a couple of guys that were like, "This is rubbish," I want to pump out stuff, but that's not going to help Applied. We have another guy then. Like when I started, we had a couple of welders, and I said, right, I'm going to make you a rotator or a jig. I'll design a jig for you, and they were like, no, we won't use it. It's a waste of time. Don't bother making this jig. But then we attracted these guys. Kind of when Lean came on board, they kind of got off the train, got off the bus, and we have a new guy now called Justin, and he's coming to me every morning with small improvements, and we really encourage that in the WhatsApp group. And I think Ryan Tierney says you have to create a pull. So when you really encourage that, them Kaizen improvements, really encourage it and show people that you're making your job easier. Like for example, Justin, it used to take Justin 2.5 days to weld this, to create this weldment. Then we made him a jig. He kept making little changes, and he has that down to 5 hours now, which is incredible. And when you really support that and really maybe go over the top and congratulate that and give Justin all the better things, like bring him on tours and really encourage it. Everyone else wants a piece of it. You start seeing the guy in accounts going, Jesus, I want a piece of that. I wanted that bit of recognition as well in the morning meeting. I suppose that's how we did it. And then there was a couple of guys that didn't want to do it, and I said, that's fine. But this is the way we're going, and if you want to be part of this, you kind of have to, toe the line a bit. I didn't expect anyone to be a lean expert or anything, but what we did expect was that they would contribute to the Kaizen improvement and to the 3S time. And some people, it wasn't for some people, they left. That's fine. We replaced them with, and the more people opted out when we got new people in, they just came in on our terms then.
I've asked the next question to Ryan Tierney, and you're probably going to give me the same answer. So all this is great, and the place looks great, and you change the morning meetings, but what's the impact on the bottom line, the customers, the lead times? Give us a flavour of that.
Like our cash flow, we had no cash flow. We had no money. We were skint. We could barely afford to go on these lean tours. So our cash flow has gone way up. Because of things Anna has been doing in accounts. Also our inventory, we had way too much stock, thousands of parts of one thing and none of another. We were always running out of stock, air freight and stuff in. That's all settled down now. Our customers are happier because of lean, because of the small things we've been doing. Our Google reviews are way higher now than they used to be. It used to be, I think, at 1.2 or something. You can see 4.7 now. Our lead times have dropped dramatically. When we set about redesigning all our products, we designed them for manufacturing. So the Variamount PTO compressor, for example, that used to take two guys for 4 weeks to create one, and you can see Victor in the picture there with the glasses, with the waist goggles on. Victor can build one in a day now. Well, he can put one out in a day because we have sub assemblies built and pre assemblies done, and you know, the big thing as well from lean is you can see Victor there. Lean is actually fun. It's actually, I love going to work in Applied. We have a great team thing going. We come in and actually I see the lads coming in a little bit earlier in the morning before we started lean. The lads waltzing in 10, 15 minutes late. Stupid excuses. Now they're coming in 10 minutes early because they want to get a head start on the lad beside him and on the lean improvements and the Kaizen stuff. The biggest changes are people. We have a real happy people. If you come into our place, you'll see that. There's no one growling or there's no one upset, or everyone is clicked and connected together. Everyone is communicating and knows what's happening. That's the big thing, and the product is actually flowing.
And just from the customer's perspective,
I suppose we didn't get any real stakeholders in this or anything. We did this totally ourselves. And I'm very proud of our team. Like, with 15 people that know nothing about lean. I knew not much more about it either. And we decided we were going to do this, and we lost a few guys along the way. But I have to say as well, we got great help from Ryan Tierney, Paul Nolan in Adman Sheds, John Murphy Precast in Wexford, Maria in ATC in Shannon. There's such a brilliant community out there of lean people, and I'm just really proud of our team that we were able to achieve this within a short period of time.
So you're talking about the digital side of things here. You're looking at new systems now as well.
Yeah, we're looking at a new ERP system called Odoo, and we're taking it slow, real slow. we have a system called QuickBooks at the moment. It's kind of not supported anymore going forward, so we're changing over to Odoo. We're going slow to go fast here. We're earning the right to go digital at the moment. So what that means is we're doing everything manually, visually, with labels, with Excel. We're figuring out before we jump in with our 2 feet into Odoo and spend thousands and thousands on consultants and setup fees of this. I think we'll have this running before we even install it, say physically. Also, ChatGPT, from digital point of view, ChatGPT, if you're not on it, you need to get on it. You're going to get left behind. The lean improvements Mark has made, from a sales point of view, is just it's incredible. It's not my cup of tea. I prefer to be bashing steel together, but what Mark has done on that side of things is it's incredible.
Couple of quick questions. Edward's in first. Edward Murphy.
Thanks a million. Thanks, Kevin. Very insightful, great presentation. I'm an operations manager in Europcar. We have 22 sites around the country, and we've been dipping into lean kind of culture for the past few years. So we have a few yellow belts, green belts, a black belt, but everybody's busy as well doing their own job. One thing we're trying to do is introduce 5S in all the locations as a start, kind of. There's garages in each location, so you go there. Some are messy, some are good. Any tips around, I suppose, the starting point of that? I've been thinking about, what template you use that is good, and then kind of, I suppose, getting the culture and then trying to get the culture all around the country and maintaining that. It's kind of a big challenge that we want to do, but we shy away for it then. And then we come back to it and say we want to do it,
You're probably you have a lot of different locations, which is probably makes it more difficult. We're in one way we have a small group in one location, which helps. But either way, I think you need a leader. You need someone that's going to drive it. You need someone that's really, and it has to happen come hell or high water. It has to happen. For creating 5S, I think we don't actually 5S anymore. We actually simplified it. We only 3S now. We source, we standardize. I suppose just pick one area. Pick bit of advice. I'd say pick one area. It might just be your desktop. It might just be a toolbox, or the top of a toolbox, or it might be just a press or something. And 5S that and take it from there and just share it to the whole group, show before and after pictures.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Another question from Dan.
Hi, Kevin. Great presentation. Thanks very much for sharing that. I did arrive a bit late, so you may have covered this already. You've mentioned the salesperson stroke process engineer, and you mentioned what Mark had done in the sales. And could you just go maybe into that in a bit more detail in terms of, it's a particular area of interest to me on the commercial side, how you streamline things there and what difference that has made.
Okay, so hi Dan. We had we've all these products going out. We have customers ringing in saying a blasting machine is it's a machine it's actually designed to wear itself out eventually, because you're running blast material through it at high pressure. So that we've a lot of spare parts, and we've sales guys on the phones, and we have customers ringing, and they're saying, the part on the side of the little one, the green part with the black top on it, there was no parts books or anything. So Mark has said about he created parts books off our design and assembly drawings, and he said, so that's where a lot of the work has gone into, was setting up the guys for success. And we noticed that the guys were taking half their day was spent searching for information, searching for the answer, and there was the answer was never where the question was. So Mark has set about creating parts books and standardizing all that stuff, so to help the sales guys. So that's where a lot of work has gone into. Customer's happier as well, because he knows he gets the answer straight away. He gets the invoice now. It's not waiting for a week to figure out what's he talking about. A lot of work went into that by Mark's end.
Thank you.
What's next? It was actually Paul Nolan's fault. I went down to a tour there to Adman Sheds, and he said, you should start doing lean tours. And I thought he was crazy. We weren't good enough. But we started offering lean tours every second Wednesday. And they probably have been the best thing we've done. So we do the tour every second Wednesday. We invite other companies to come, and probably the best thing ever, because they're seeing our processes from in different eyes, and they also, it's like when the mother-in-law is coming over, you'll jump up and you'll clean up the house a bit, or you'll fill the dishwasher or whatever. When the lads see the yellow bibs coming around, they're going. It keeps the rope tight. It keeps all the initiatives that we're trying to do every week. It keeps the place clean and tidy as much as anything. But the lean tours is probably the best thing. It's probably really pushed us on. And we want to help other SMEs to understand what real lean is, that it's culture. It's culture first before tools. And we really want to just help SMEs. Another thing we do is do a LinkedIn post. I only started doing it every Saturday morning just for our own morning meeting, but it's after growing legs now, and there's lads texting me, is why didn't you put up your post today? I'm waiting for it. So there's two things we do.
And just to say to everybody, we've booked a tour with Kevin for the 3rd of September. It's only a small place, so we're going to limit to 10. I'm going to put out, after this, I'm going to put out a request for a waiting list. So if anybody's interested in going to see and talk to the lads down there, I've had excellent feedback from anybody who's been, so just to push the place. But if we get more than 10, we'll think about organising a second visit. So I'll do that after this meeting. What advice would you give to somebody starting off, Kevin? Haven't done this yet. Where are you about trying it? Don't know if it's going to work. The backlash. What would you advise?
Say just be brave and just do it. It's the best thing you'll ever do for your business. I jumped into this on my 2 feet, knowing nothing about lean. And two things are definitely, if you're not doing these two things, you're not really doing lean. That's number one is your morning meeting, and number two is 3S time. Another thing I'd say is put your own stamp on it. It's kind of it's kind of a mistake I made. I tried to copy Seaton Matters. I had 10 lads in boiler suits, and I here trying to get them to do yoga. I went down like a lead balloon. Keep it simple as well. Just keep it really simple. It doesn't need to be very complicated. Do as many lean tours as you can, no matter where they are. You learn so much when you can actually see it, touch it, and I think build your culture first before you start talking about anything else. Just build your culture, and it doesn't matter how long it takes. Just get the culture started first, because I think the lean tools are great, but they'll fail if people don't understand why you're using them.
I've put a note out to everybody. You might have seen it. Just trying to create a lean cluster through the Dublin Lean Network, and the idea will be any companies that are committed to this, to network them together as a kind of a subset of the network, only for committed companies, only business only. There is a few kind of commitment rules, if you like, all based around what Paul Akers recommends. So again, if you've seen that, you might want to reply to that. We'll have a first meeting on that in September. And just to wrap up, a couple of again thoughts. One mistake that you might have made, Kevin, that you'd advise people not to do.
Yeah, like there's a lot of things that we waited and waited and waited for the perfect time for it, and the perfect time never came. We procrastinated and we said, "Oh, next week we'll do it when this is ready," and so on. And months went by, and I'm sorry I didn't do a lot of stuff earlier. I'd say just go for it, just do it. Worry about the impact after.
And then the future.
I've seen and all our team has seen the impact 2 second lean has had on Applied, and it's just a taster really. We're only tipping the iceberg. We have a great MD, with great people, we have a great product, and we have a vivid vision where we're going. The next 10 years, it's going to be very exciting. We've just broke through the glass window, the glass ceiling. I think just there's no end. just this kind of thinking, lean thinking, can bring you.
Fergus, you have a question.
Yes, thanks a million, Kevin. Brilliant presentation. Just a quickie, you haven't mentioned any sort of consultant or third-party support. Did you use one, or was it entirely yourselves doing it in Applied?
Yeah, it was entirely ourselves. We actually, when we started lean, when I started talking about lean, that's why Mark was very wasn't on for it, because he had the lean consultants in, and he had guys coming in telling him to do this, and the place was an absolute mess. Then I was coming on saying, right, we need to start doing lean, and he was going, no way, no. We went through all that. It was a solid waste of time. But I think it was just, there's brilliant consultants out there. I think the issue is they're coming in to companies, small companies like us, and they're kind of giving presentations about the tools, and then they're leaving. I think if you want to do a lean transformation like this, you need to be on site every day, hammering it home every morning. So no, we had no consultancy this time around.
That's an hour, folks. That's a flying by. Kevin, absolutely fantastic presentation. It is real life stuff, and delighted to see it. And I'm looking forward to the visit and the tours coming forward. So again, like I say, I'll be putting a note out. Anybody who wants to express, join the waiting list for that, and then we'll pick 10. We just do the waiting list because some companies might want to send a few people. If we can accommodate it, we'll do it. If we can't, we'll organise further tours. Thanks a million, guys. 2:00.
Yep.
Kevin, excellent.
Thanks so much, Steve. Thanks, guys.
Brilliant. Thank you.